Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Seth, one of the co-hosts of Engaged Podcast, and we're here to give you another great episode here on this Thursday morning or afternoon or evening. Whenever you're listening to this episode, we're here to give you another great episode. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to say personally welcome. We love hearing from people who tune in. We love hearing what people think of our podcast. So go ahead and leave us a review. And whether you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe wherever you're hearing my voice right now. That way you can get notified every time me and Pastor Anthony come out with a new episode of Engaged Podcast, which is every single Thursday. And that way you won't have to look for us. You won't have to search us. Boom, it's right there on your phone every Thursday waiting for you to listen. Our guest today is... it's such a pleasure to have. We actually went to his restaurant. It's Charles Mangino of Mangino's Pizzeria. If you live in Newcastle or Mahoningtown or anywhere remotely close to Newcastle, you know Mangino's. Their pizza is like top shelf. Their pizza is phenomenal. I would love for Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports to come and do a pizza review because he does those little pizza review things on YouTube. I would love for him to come and try out this place. I would just be so curious to find out what score he'd give it, because my personal opinion, I think this is one of the best pizzas that's anywhere close to us, anywhere close. I will put it up against any other pizza. And we actually went to the location in Neshannock, and we sat down with him, talked to him, got to hear his story. He has a crazy story about how he got involved in the pizza industry and how he actually opened up a Mangino's in Naples, Florida, and it did extremely well there. But you guys are in for another great episode. If you live in the Newcastle, Hermitage, Sharon area, or live anywhere close to Newcastle, this one specifically you're going to really enjoy, because who doesn't want to get to know the proprietor and the owner of one of the best pizza shops we have. But give it up for our friend Charles Mangino.
Welcome back to Engaged Podcast. This is continuing our special series, Leader2Leader. Today, Seth and I find ourselves at Mangino's Pizzeria right here in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. We're sitting with Charles Mangino. Charles, we're glad to be here today.
Nice to have you here.
Yes. So what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing really good. I mean, we're plugging away one day at a time. Things have been going well, even though the conditions we're under right now with this COVID-19. Business actually is up this year compared to last year. When this thing first started, we were off for a little bit, but I think it's due to the fact that our type of food, we have primarily takeout. That's what enticed people to come here more. Not only that, but of course our food is great.
That's right, it is. So before we get into the food, if the listener out there, Seth and I, we're here live at the restaurant. So if you hear some clinking and clanking in the background and some oohs and ahs, those are the folks that are eating back there. So this is the real deal. We're actually here. Seth and I, we ate before we started the podcast, right? Seth, what did you have?
It was a pepperoni and sausage pizza. And then I had, what do they call it, the sausage pie. Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Square. It was to die for. It was so good.
And so sausage pie, for those who are listening, who are not Newcastle natives, it might be a little confusing because they might be thinking like this is a sausage sandwich or something. Share with us quickly what that is exactly.
The sausage pie, it's a unique product. We make our own homemade sausage. It has provolone cheese, eggs, Romano cheese, and then there's a thin layer of crust on the bottom and the top. And we cook it to a golden brown and cut it in pieces and serve it. And it's excellent with our marinara sauce also. We've been doing this for 41 years, and we are the only company that makes this particular product in the United States.
So if you don't hear me talk for like 10 minutes, it's because I'm back behind the counter eating the sausage pie.
It's
like,
so
where
good.
did he go?
It's so good. So
I indulged as well before we started. I had a couple slices. I had your vegetable pizza, and I had your lasagna. And so the lasagna, I've never had anything like it. It was fantastic. The thing that I noticed different about your veggie pizza was there a little bit of vinegar mixed in with the vegetables?
There's like a ranch dressing in with the vegetables.
It had like a little tang to it, but that's what I liked.
Right.
So you guys
the
got
vegetable pizza is another one that's a hot item here.
You guys have it going on here, big time. So we're sitting here, and I see since 1979, and I was born in 1979, so I know exactly how long this place has been around. Okay, so can you tell us the history of Mangino's Pizza? What inspired this whole process?
Well, I was raised in a small business environment. My dad had a small grocery store when I was growing up, and I actually was behind the counter when I was 5 years old. He flipped over a milk carton and said, "Stand on this." And I'm like, "What do you want me to do that for?" And he's like, "Because you can't see the keys on the register, you're too short." And that's when I started, and I loved business, and I was in that business for many years. He decided to remodel when I was 16, so then I ventured out a little bit because I didn't want to be in the mess of all the dust and everything during that process. And I worked for various places, a clothing store, I worked for a cement company. I learned to become a dance instructor during the disco dance days. And then I decided I want to get into business. I didn't know what type of business, but there was a family that had a pizzeria in our town for like 50 years, and they decided to close right while I was graduating high school. So I said, I'm going to do that. My wife and I, we found this little place, painted it up, and about a week before we opened the doors, we looked at each other and said, guess what? We don't know how to make pizza.
You thought of everything except that
So the people that taught us the basics were from this pizza shop. My mother had called one of the owners and said, can we buy your recipe, or can you teach my son? And she's like, you know what, give me $5 an hour and I'll teach you everything. My dad co-signed a $5,000 loan, and that was it. We were off to the races.
What was the name of the your father's business? The store?
It was called S&C Food Mart.
And this was in?
This was in Mahoningtown. That's at the same location as where the original pizza shop started.
Okay.
What we did when we first got into this business, all we had was a small little counter display of pizza by the slice and our pepperoni rolls, spinach rolls, sausage pie, and we sold it to the customers that would come in and out and frequent the grocery store, and they started liking the product. So after a time, we decided the grocery business didn't seem to be working as well anymore, and we found another business that would enhance our pizza shop, and we got into the video business when VHS tapes first came out. Customers would come in, they would rent a tape, and then they would have to come in the next day to return it. So as they come in, they started smelling the fresh pizza, and we just kept expanding from there. We made a larger counter. We just started displaying stuff behind glass. We started doing a lot more takeout orders, and we were in that business approximately like 7 years, and then we fully went to the pizza business for the entire building.
That's a genius idea, because you're going to go in, and what's the thing you do with your family when you watch a movie?
Right.
You're like, let's grab a pizza. Well,
Yeah.
guess what?
Right.
The pizza's there, and then you have on top of that the smell.
Right,
which is
and
gonna pull you right in.
the video business was so hot back then. Everybody wanted to rent videos.
Right.
And we were the only video store down in that location.
Right.
So we grabbed, and then as people found out about us, they started talking, and people started coming from other parts of town. Then they started coming from other towns, from Hermitage, from Youngstown, from Sharon, from Boardman, all over the place. And it just started getting bigger and bigger, and eventually I decided to open up a store in Naples, Florida.
And how long ago was that?
That was in 2006. So that was, let's see, almost 27 years after we had the original store. I got a divorce at that time. So I said, you know what? You run this place. My ex-wife is running the place in Mahoningtown, and I'm going to run the place in Naples. So that's what I did. And Naples, nobody knew us. And in Naples, Florida, people come from all over the world, not only just all over the country, but there's people from everywhere. And it took a while to get people adjusted, but then a lot of the people from this area found out we were there. And every year we started having a Newcastle Day, and there would probably be about 250 people that would attend it.
You're kidding.
No.
Newcastle Day.
Newcastle Day. When we went to Naples, there was a lot of people from this area that never knew we existed in Mahoningtown. Because unless you go to Mahoningtown, it's like a one-horse town. You have no reason to go there. When they came to Florida and said, "Oh, you're from Newcastle?" "Yes." And I'm like, "We have another pizza shop." "We never knew that." I said, "Well, we've been there for 27 years.
Wow.
And that started getting some hype.
Wow. So what else what exactly did the Newcastle Day entail? Other than the obvious, right? People show up to eat.
People would show up to eat. They'd have to sign up like ahead of time, and we'd have like a smorgasbord of everything that we made. Then we'd have all kind of cookies and cakes and all kind of stuff for dessert. Our place down there was very small. It was only like 1,800 square feet. So the plaza, half the plaza, it had like 28 stores. Half of it was closed on Sunday, and we always had this on Sunday. We would line up tables like almost the whole length of the plaza outside.
So would there be things reminiscent of Newcastle, like chili sauce, chili dogs, those kinds of things?
No,
or was it just centered around
it was just around Mangino's Pizzeria.
Okay.
And people would get together. There was people that came that haven't seen each other. They were like, "I haven't seen you in 50 years."
That's crazy.
And they'd come from, not only, they were snowbirds, a lot of them would go down there every year, but there was people that lived like in all different parts of Florida that would just travel over to this event. And that's another thing to put us on the map, that helped,
That's cool.
get things going. And myself, like when we first started this, I had to learn like day by day. I don't have any formal education. I ended up going to college later in life, but I didn't have any formal education in this. It was just trial and error, and just work hard and keep your eyes on the business, watch your numbers, and you just can't give up. You got to be persistent.
What qualities maybe were so influential for you?
Well, I think my dad was my main influence in my life. He was an extremely hard worker. His business was open from like 9 a.m. till midnight, 7 days a week. And he was there the majority of the hours. And, we lived real close to our business, but it was tough because my dad was always working. And I thought, I want to help my dad out, because I want to be just like him. I want to be right along with him, and he really inspired me. As far as, sometimes people will touch your life in different ways and make a difference. He was I would say he's the main person. The woman that taught us the basics of the pizza business for $5 an hour, she was the next one. Now, of course, we had to work it, and we had to work hard at it to make it succeed. But, I always will honor her and be grateful that she did that for us.
Right. So you said your father inspired you. What else? What inspires you every day? What things inspire you?
I just love business. I love interacting with people. I love negotiating. I'm great with numbers. It's just, I love business. I flourish when I'm in a business. And, I really actually like starting like this business we started 3 years ago. I love putting it together. I love coming in here and watching it grow and being part of that. And then once it gets to the point where I feel like it's good, I want to move on and do another one.
Is that okay? So
yeah,
that's something inside of you that you feel like this can be managed now?
Right.
And what else is there?
We're actually looking right now.
So are you thinking, you're saying something different or another Mangino?
Probably another Mangino.
Oh, I see. Okay. You're talking Hermitage, Wink?
Yeah,
Hint?
I'm thinking about Hermitage.
Really?
Yeah, we've been looking.
You guys will do great up there.
Yeah.
That's great. I said for those listening, that's where I live, so that's why I wanted to plant that seed.
Yeah,
deep
well,
in
my
this-
sisters lived there for like 40 years, and my brother-in-law, and he was a police officer there for I think 35 years, and he works at Penn State now as a security officer.
Right. There's
Joe,
a fella.
that's Allie's
Right.
dad, Joe.
They work with Brian. We go to church with a fellow that works with him. We're close
Okay.
friends. I found that out later because he listened to Allie's show, and he said, because I met him. I just didn't. This was before we had that
Right.
connection, so I met him. So I know visually who he is. So now
Right.
it's just this little weird small
Another
world.
thing I think that helped us too, I have a few cousins that one was a district attorney for a number of years, and his name was always in the paper, Mangino this, Mangino that. And so it kind of put the name out there
Right.
even more. And my other cousin was a football coach. He coached for Kansas University. He was their head coach for a number of years, and he had a massive reputation.
Okay.
And so it was like our name was in the paper. It might have not been under Mangino's Pizzeria, but the name Mangino, and they're like, "Are you related?" When he was
Yeah.
in the Orange Bowl, there was people from Kansas that came into the pizza shop in Naples because they had the Orange Bowl in Miami, and they're like, "Are you related?" The law firm, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's my cousin," and they're like, "We have to take your picture. We want to put your picture up in our law firm." I said, "Well, maybe I could just call my cousin Mark and ask him to take a picture with you."
That's cool. That's good. So mentoring people playing a mentoring leadership role in someone's life is important. You mentioned the lady that taught you how to make the pizzas. Do you stick to that recipe, or have you altered it over the years?
We have stuck to it.
Okay, because I'm sorry.
I was going to say we have added things to our menu. She taught us the basics.
Right.
She taught us the dough, the sauce, different basic things. As far as like all the different varieties of pizza, my dad started that. He said, we should try this, we should try that. And he was very persistent. At first, people were like, oh, fresh tomato pizza, I don't know. Breaded eggplant pizza, I don't know. But he was persistent and never gave up and kept letting people sample it and try it. And it just flourished into, we're doing very good right now.
So you had those mentors in your life. If someone were to come here and approach you and say, I want to start my own business, what would you say as a mentor to them? What advice would you give them?
I would just tell them, know the business that you want to get into. Don't invest money into something that you don't know about. Learn it first, get educated with it, and then make the decision to pull the pin on it. I'm always open though. I hate when somebody gets in business and they fail because they're not educated in the business that they're getting into. Some people have the tendency to think, I can just throw money into this. I have the money to do it, so I'm going to make money. That does not work. No, you got to know what you're doing, be educated in what you're doing, and then take the chance on it. Why invest money into something you don't know anything about? I did that once in the stock market. I thought that I was going to be a day trader, and I started doing this day trading thing, and I was making money, and I kept going and going with it. And in the end, I ended up losing it. And so my accountant said, listen, Chucky, stick to what you know and put all of it into what you know. So, people that want to get in business, I say that's it's great. But know what you're going to get into, learn about it first. Don't get into it and spend $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 into a business and then educate yourself. Because then you're going to be losing money along the way.
It's a good point.
When I graduated high school, my grade point average was 1.5. So I decided about 13 years later, I don't even know how they graduated me. 13 years later, I decided, I'm going to go to college. I just want to see, do I have what it takes if I push myself? Well, I went for a few years. I took some business courses. I got into this physical therapy program. And I maintained a 4.0 grade point average. And all the young kids around, they're like, you're the smartest person we ever seen. I said, I'm going to tell you something. I said, and I told them the story. I had a 1.5. I did not apply myself. I said, when I go to bed at night, my books are in my hands. When I wake up in the morning, my books are in my hands. I said, it doesn't come easy. I said, if you put your mind and you work hard, you can achieve anything you want to achieve. So I proved to myself that point. I can achieve anything I want to. My business kept growing, so I had to make a decision. Am I going to do physical therapy? Am I going to stick in the pizza business? So I made that decision. And, I mean, it worked.
Very cool.
But I say for the young people, too, if you're not going to, I would say mostly, if you're not going to get into a business that maybe your family was in or whatever, get an education. It's extremely important. I mean, that's the only way. You have to be educated. You have to work very hard. The education does not buy you your path. You've got to work hard at it.
Exactly. Well, a lot of people nowadays, they go to college and they have this dream that they're going to immediately graduate and like run something or be at the top, and they don't realize it's an uphill slugfest.
Right.
And you have to get through those hard times to get to the top. It's the obstacle is the way.
Right.
It's not going around it or avoiding it.
Right.
So.
And there's, I'd say too, like there's programs like the SCORE program. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. It's retired businessmen and women. They'll mentor you. If you know you're going to go to college and you don't know the specific field that you want to get into, call SCORE. They offer free advice. If you want to be in physical therapy, they'll get a physical therapist to talk to you. They'll show you what's involved and stuff. Do that. If you want to get in the pizza business, come and talk to me. You know what I mean? Learn about what you want to do. I'm getting off track a little bit, huh?
No, it's all insightful. I think it's insightful. There's just a simple principle that the person that's already doing it and is successful.
Right.
If that's what you see yourself doing, get around them. You're going to learn a lot through them.
Right.
So I like it. I think it's excellent advice.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, because we live in a time now, especially in my generation, everyone wants to be an overnight success. Everyone wants the rags to riches story. And I was trying to find the quote. I can't quote it word for word, but the gist was someone who was very successful said, "It took me 8 years of school, however many hundreds of thousands of hours of practice, however much money went into it for me to become an overnight success." And the idea was what everyone out there sees as an overnight success, there's like a whole iceberg below of all the work and preparation and endless nights of studying and like you said. My question is, so there's a lot going on in the world right now, a lot going on just in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. If you could give one piece of advice to the rest of the world right now, what would it be?
I would just try to keep togetherness, work with each other. When your neighbor needs a helping hand, reach out to them. Try to just be a better person. People come in here sometimes, they look sad, they look down. My goal is I want them to be smiling when they leave. I feel like I have tears in my eyes. Because, I mean, it's true. When somebody comes in here, listen, if you make one person a day smile, you're successful. Do something good. You know, the world isn't as bad as what people make it out to be. Some people are optimists, some people are pessimists. Try to be as optimistic as you can. It's not that bad. And every day is new. Started with a fresh new heart, started with goodness in your heart, and started where you're going to say, listen, I'm going to say something to one person today, at least one person, and make them smile. Make each day good.
I was talking with a family member, and they were talking about their friends, the kids' friends, and some people, you know, at that age, they're like 13, 14, and they were talking about different folks who are always only critical. It's a dig, you know, then another dig, and so I ran into this person, and it was true. They were just one dig after the next. So I didn't say anything, and when I went to leave, I looked at him, I said, I have a new goal for you. Now, he don't know me from Adam. He said, what's that? I said, I want you to think of giving 3 compliments every day for the next week, and then I left. It probably was lost on him.
You're like, what?
Yeah, but the point is, if you start thinking about that, I'm going to give 3 genuine compliments to different people and really mean it.
Mm-hmm.
That trains you to start seeing the good and being positive.
Right.
And I learned that lesson in college. I literally had a piece of paper like this here, and I posted it right before I left. It was right next to the door. And it would say 3 compliments. And it would just make me think to look for the good. And it's amazing how when you do that, you lift someone's spirits up.
Right.
You know, so you have that opportunity here because, again, it's just like getting people in here to order the VHS tapes. You sell them pizza,
Right?
Well,
and
you're giving people happiness,
right? And when people come in here, I greet them in a nice way, but it's just who I am. I want to treat people good, and I want them to be happy. I want them to be happy when they come in here. I want them to be happy when they leave, and with their life in general. You know, when people come in, I'll be like, you know, have a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day outside. Make them try to think more positive, even if maybe they're having the worst day of their life.
Right.
It's okay.
We did a podcast over in Sharon with a place called the Haitian Sensation, and how he does that is he takes his coffee cups, and they're all pretty much just, they're white. There's nothing on them, and he writes a little message, and him and his staff will just take hundreds of cups and write either a Bible verse or a positive message.
That's
and
nice.
He said, so you're going to get the cup. And he said, you will not believe the amount of people that, you know, they're having a rough day, and it'll be like, you know, smile, God loves you, and it'll make a big difference. So I like that you're mindful of that, because you have an opportunity here,
Right.
you know, as people come into your business. So
Very cool. All right, so you're a very busy guy. What do you do for fun? How do you let off steam?
I don't do a whole lot because I'm here quite a bit. I'll go home and watch a little bit of TV. When the COVID wasn't around, we'd go out once in a while to a nightclub or something. Or when we close every year for 2 weeks, we'll go on a vacation, different places and stuff. So, I mean, I don't have like a ton of hobbies. My hobby is business.
you know what that told me about you? When since this is not a drain on you, this isn't a job. Because this energizes you, it's a calling.
Right. Yeah, I just feel, and I didn't feel like this all the time. When I first started, when I was a young kid, my dad would like push me to go in the front. I'd like dust the shelves and put up stock and everything, learn how to slice lunch meat and whatever. But he pushed me to work with customers, and I was like real backward about doing it at first. But I've been doing this just in this business 41 years, and that was when I was 19. So you figure, I mean, actually, I've probably been working for 55 years of my life, and I don't feel it. I feel like today's the first day.
Good.
That's
I
cool.
really, you know.
And that's why we knew we'd make a good guest, because it's not just, you know, if folks know you, they know that. But this is a way for the story to get out. It's going to hit people in different ways. You know, maybe young people that are going to want to go on and do something in the restaurant business, and they hear this, they get inspired.
Right.
You know, they hear your story about not everything's going to be handed to you. You got to work hard. You know, all these things are important, and every listener gets something new and different.
Right. I mean, the main thing is, though, when you find what you want to do as a young person, try to make sure you're happy, because the money will come. Don't do it just for the money, because you're probably going to be miserable. Try to find something. And I can't say that I was 100% happy the first day I started in this, and I didn't have hectic days and stuff. But try to find something and fall in love with it. And you're going to, it'll be like you never worked a day in your life. Because like I said before, when you love what you do and you have a passion about it, it's not work. It really isn't.
So where do you see yourself 10, 15 years?
Probably being a snowbird, maybe. Going to Florida. I have a condo down there. I rent it out. I'm like up in the air on whether to keep it, not keep it, but it's rented until next May, so we'll see. But that's kind of my goal. I'd like to possibly spend the winters down there, like maybe 2 or 3 months out of the year or whatever. and do a little bit of traveling, see some things maybe I haven't seen before I leave the earth. But, the main thing is like my family is number one. And like I said, I have little grandchildren, which my oldest is 5 years old, and she already knows how to like make pizza shells and stuff. Oh. So we already have them involved in the business.
That's cool.
They come here and they love it.
That's cool. So my wife's family owns the Dunkin' Donuts here in town.
Oh, okay.
So Donald Miller, I don't know if
they buy pizza a lot of times off of us.
Okay, yeah. So I worked with them in the business for about 10 years, from 2009 to about 2000 it was about 10 years. And one of the things that I learned there was that working in a family business is a lot tougher than a lot of people think it is. So how do you manage working with your family all the time? Is it something that has been a challenge and you've overcome it, or has it just been natural the whole time? How do you do that?
Well, I would say it was not natural at first. Me and my ex-wife worked together, and we had our differences, but I say this: find what you're best at doing in the business, and sit down with the people that you're around, your family that you're around, and have meetings, and say, look, I think I'm best at this. Let's have a trial basis the next month or so. You do this, you do this, you do this, because it seems like that's what you're best at. Not only if you're best at doing something, you're going to be happy doing it, but it's going to make the business thrive more. Mm-hmm. When you're butting heads and everybody wants to do the same job, that doesn't work. And when there's too many, chiefs, it does not work. You have to, if you're working as a family, you have to work as a business, and you kind of have like a board of directors, we'll say. And you don't think about the family, you think about the business. We're sitting down, we're on the board of this business, and we're going to discuss it in a business manner.
Okay.
And let's find out who does what best, and this business is going to thrive.
Yeah.
Do we have our differences in our family? Absolutely. But for the most part, when it comes down to it, we got it together.
That's cool.
And now we just have the 2 stores. I sold the one in Florida, so if they need help in Mahoningtown, we're there for them. If we need help here, they got our back. We work as a team.
That's cool.
We really do. But yeah, you're still gonna have your differences from day to day. But yeah, I say find out what you're best at doing. Like in our business, when we initially started, I was more the numbers person and watching everything that was going on and stuff. My ex-wife was more the manual person, would go in and make the product, make the dough, make this, do that. Do I know the whole business? Absolutely. You got to know the business from the bottom up. You got to know how to do dishes. You got to know how to do everything in the business.
How important are people skills?
Oh, people skills. If you're people skills, no matter if it's the front of the house working with the general public, it's extremely important. But even in the kitchen, when you're working as a team with people, you have to be able to communicate.
What is the secret to keeping a happy team, a well-running team?
Treat them like family. When they come in the morning, treat them with respect, and give them time when they need it. I'm pretty good as far as judging people's character, and you're gonna get a bad egg here and there where they're gonna think that they can walk on you or whatever. Don't let that happen. They just can't stay. But as a whole, if you treat people like their family and treat your team that way and treat them respectfully, you're going to have them for a long time. Pay them fairly. Don't think that you're going to make everything in your pocket and they're going to be like slaves. That does not work. Mm-hmm. No. Pay them fairly and you'll succeed. Let them feel like they have a future. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Oh, it's all good.
All right, last question here. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I didn't send this one to you because I don't like to have you think about it. I want to hit you cold. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so if it was possible to go back in time and you end up meeting with a younger version of you, right? What advice would you give you?
What advice would I give myself? try to make less mistakes in your life. I don't know. Try to. I've made some mistakes, like as far as family, like when I got a divorce and I went to Florida. I still get along like with my ex-wife. We're like a team. Try to be strong and take the bumps better when they come your way. I would say to myself, don't give in to things if it doesn't seem right. I was younger, and so I don't know. I'm answering this pretty bad.
It's okay. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
It's a tough question.
It's kind of contradicting of what I've said, but there's some things that occurred in my life that I did think certain things that I shouldn't have done, and if I relive that, I wouldn't want to do those things. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the time, there's things that you do in your life. It seems like it's all fun and stuff like that, but there's certain things that I did that I have a few minor regrets.
Sure.
But, now I'm fine and everything is good. So I'm happy.
Good.
That's awesome.
Well, listen, Charles, this was a fantastic interview. I am so glad you took the time. Like Seth said, we know you're super busy. You're running a successful restaurant. Everything was excellent, and this was a great conversation. So this is Anthony Clauditis here at Engaged Podcast for Leader2Leader series, and we are signing off from Mangino Pizzeria.